All right, very special guest here in studio, Chief Chris Pacetti, Commander Nick Barrow from the U.S. Coast Guard, Chief with the Fire Department here, of course. Welcome in again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here. Wow. What amazing news we got over the weekend after you guys were, I'm going to say miraculously, able to track down this missing boater who was, as we just learned, in an 8-foot John boat.
Yeah, when I saw the picture, it didn't look like it was saying 12 in the report.
Yeah.
And they confirmed it was smaller than the 12 foot. I was like, it looked really short.
So when you guys, what is the procedure when you guys get a notification like this? Hey, we've got a missing boater out at sea. What does the mobilization of your efforts look like in the very beginning of something like this?
So, yeah, so from our standpoint, so we're kind of in St. Augustine is kind of a no man's land for Coast Guard. Unfortunately, we're directly in the middle of two stations that come to us. So we work really hard. Our partnerships in the area are incredible between St. Johns County Fire Rescue, St. Augustine Fire Department, St. Augustine Police Department, St. Johns County Sheriff's Office.
All of which we wish we could have fit in the studio this morning.
I know, I wanted to overrun the studio.
We wish we could have had everybody in studio.
Pete said no, and I was like, well, we're going to bring them in.
Well, we called the amphitheater. They're like, no, it's
maxed out.
Yeah, okay.
So, getting everyone up and running. Josh Bellini from St. Johns County Fire Rescue, the Marine Rescue side, he did a fantastic job of getting all the right resources coming and kind of laying the foundation to make this a successful event. Because there are times that Coast Guard shows up or, more and more assets show up and you have to undo a lot of things that didn't go right initially. And he just did a really good job of setting that up. So we were able to pile a bunch of boats, 3 aircraft as well, FWC's fixed wing, and then Sheriff's Office helicopter, and then one of the Coast Guard helicopters came.
Wow.
And we had 9 boats searching within the first probably 30 minutes or so of that event.
Did you guys have any rough idea? Because from what I understand, he hadn't told many people he was going out. I mean, did you guys have any sort of idea of the search area that you were canvassing?
Yeah, the family kept telling us that he stayed really in the Salt Run area. So we threw all of our assets at that because you can't rule out, did he have a medical problem? Did he fall overboard? There's so many things you have to consider, to just a wave come. We had that storm that came through Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
So there was a lot to kind of weigh out. But we really focused our efforts there. There's a lot of little creeks and cuts back there that are really shallow. So we checked all those out, and that's kind of where we started.
And just to maybe add just a couple additional points, I would agree with your characterization of miraculous. It was a great outcome. Charlie was in a tough spot out there, and it was really great to find him and bring him back to his family before our search area got very large very fast. Search areas don't get smaller over time.
Right.
I would agree with the chief wholeheartedly that the interagency teamwork that exists here and the proficiency and capability and partnership in the St. Augustine area with the local agencies is just not replicated in very many places out there. So we're really, really fortunate to have the professionals that do a great job here in St. Augustine. So when the call initially came in, we first got notified just before 5 p.m. on Friday.
Okay.
And we had a lot of unknowns, right? So we didn't know exactly when he launched his boat. We didn't know exactly where he was going. We didn't know when or where he got into trouble, if at all. But what we did know is where he typically operates, as the chief said. And that information we were getting from the family, which was the Salt Run and the marsh areas. But we only had about 3 hours until sunset at the time of our initial notification, and so we really launched the world, both Coast Guard and all of the local agencies, and really hit it hard, hit it fast, and really focusing on our theory number 1, which was in the Salt Run area or the marshes. After about 3 or 4 hours of a really thorough and canvassing search and not finding anything, a boat or Charlie, we really started to rethink some of our initial assumptions and start to move into theory number 2, which is, hey, something bad happened and maybe he got swept out of the inlet. So that's where our focus started to shift overnight and into the morning on Saturday, with primarily aircraft, but also boats at sea, which ended up find them.
Yeah. Well, and that was my big question when I saw it. I was like, is he taking this thing out in the ocean?
Yeah, like what happened?
Did he actually take it out in the ocean, or did he get pulled out into the ocean? I mean, that was my question as somebody who's been in that area, and it can be really rough in that inlet. So how did he get to that point?
So I got a call from him last night, so I was able to talk to him around 8:00 last night. And
Awesome.
I wanted to make sure his story was, presented correctly. So he was out just at the tip of the jetty there, and he was fishing there. And he said that a wave kind of overturned him around 4 a.m. So that would be 4 a.m. Friday morning. And he tried to get his boat back overturned. All of his life jacket, his phone, his flares. He had everything that he needed to be out in the boat. So, he was a prudent mariner. Like the boat was a little small depending on who you ask. But, for what he was used to, and he's done this hundreds of times.
That's what I was
It's not a norm for him. But he realized he could not swim. He couldn't make the swim back to land. So he decided to stay with the boat, which I would say is probably what ultimately saved him, is that he made that wise decision to stay with the vessel, even though it was overturned. And then once he rerighted it, the storm came through in mid-afternoon, and that flooded the boat. And he said every time he would try to get some water out of it, that the next wave would kind of tip the bow and it would fill with water again. So couldn't catch up after that.
Jeez. Now, I got to ask you guys a tough question. And because I know you mobilized every effort possible, you did everything you possibly could from the get-go. In the back of your minds, are you guys thinking you're going to find this kid in the very beginning? Are you guys thinking this is going to be a successful mission? You're obviously going to do everything you can along the way, regardless. But geez, in your head, what are you thinking the chances actually are?
I guess it's always in the back of your head, moving into day two. But we search as long as we have hope of finding somebody out there. And so we were all in until the end, until finding him. Throwing everything that we have available to us. The aircraft coming out of Clearwater, Florida. We had boats coming out of Mayport to the north, and obviously we had all the local agencies here as well. But we still had strong hope and confidence that if he was out there and in our search area, we would find him. But as time goes on, again, search areas don't get any smaller.
Right.
And so as we were going to be moving throughout the day on Saturday, I think we would have been getting a little bit more nervous, about potentially not finding him. I think.
At what hour would that be? Like, I know at some point rescue becomes a recovery. I mean, I know when we have possible drownings out at the beach and stuff like that, and Chris, those, at some point it goes, all right, now we're looking for the refloat. At what hour would that have been where it'd been like, okay, now we're in a really bad situation? I mean, is it 48 hours or is it, is it 3 days? What's the number that's kind of out there for you guys?
It's really case by case. I know it's not a super satisfying answer, but it really is. It's really hard to put a specific number on it. There are a lot of variables that go into it. The confidence level in our own search, that we're searching in the right area with the right things at the right time. What a person is wearing, their own survival and safety equipment on board. Unfortunately, in this case, he didn't have anything left available. Everything had been ejected.
Got washed away.
With the boat. But having not having life-saving equipment on board, life jacket, that sort of thing, that plays into those variables, survival models that we use as a variable that we consider in those equations too. And of course, here in Florida, with the warm water, folks can stay out there for quite some time. But without flotation,
he was in the water 36 hours. How long was he in the water?
Right around 30, right from 4 a.m.
And was he treading water most of that time? I mean, because you read the reports and they pretty much say he was treading water the whole time he was out there.
So from talking to him, it was kind of back and forth. He would try to get some water out of his boat.
Okay.
Now when it first capsized, of course, he had to tread.
Sure.
But he would try to get some water out, and then he said he was getting visited by probably every shark.
I can't even imagine.
He said nothing was aggressive, but they all, he was the only floating thing nearby.
Yeah.
So he would get into the boat and sit on top of it, and they would start to take on some more water, and so he would kind of play that game back and forth.
Thank goodness he was 25 years old and
Seriously.
was
Not a boomer.
yeah.
See, I see where you were going with that.
He's 25 years old.
So, like, what is his personality like now? Like, how is he feeling? Like, was he jipper on the phone with you, or was he a little bit more reserved, a little bit more scared? What do you think?
So he's healing up well. He was in good spirits, incredibly grateful for everybody, for the prayers, the support, the rescue efforts, everything. But he's feeling good. He has a pretty good sunburn. Like, he looks like he's wearing your shirt.
Oh yeah,
I can't even imagine.
Ouch.
Yeah. Some jellyfish stings, and he was okay with us sharing anything that we wanted to with it. But yeah, he's doing well. He's still kind of healing up from the ordeal, and he's doing really well.
That's got to be one happy mom and dad right now.
Yeah.
Like, what a blessing.
Yeah, man.
I just can't imagine how dehydrated you'd be just out there.
Right.
I mean, you're just baking.
And
Yeah.
salt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I'm about 3 minutes in. I'm like, I got to go in.
Yeah, me
I
too.
gotta ask how relieved, because I'm sure many people out there watching have seen the pictures of the fire department tending to him when he got back to shore. I mean, how much of an emotional moment was this for you guys to be able to find this young man and bring him back home?
So we were over at Lighthouse Boat Ramps, where we had the command post set up. So we had pretty much one representative from every agency helping coordinate and conduct the searches. Now, keep in mind, we're just the white shirts that are standing on while the real men and women are doing the searching, the dirty work, and getting all that, the real job done. But we were trying to figure out what our next step is and how we're going to search next and what's our next patterns. I think it's really neat, our partnership with the Coast Guard, because I bet we spoke on the phone 25 times throughout this and making changes and doing different things until it got down. So, but it's just incredible to see all that play out.
Yeah.
So how far out was he? How far had he drifted away from shore at the time when you found him?
It was about 12 to 14 miles offshore. And it was, he was found kind of the farthest, almost the farthest northeast portion of our search area, on one of the final legs of that particular C-130's assigned search. But he was out there, and a pretty bad spot to be in a swamp 8-foot skiff without a life jacket on, for sure.
It's like a needle in a haystack for real.
It really is.
I mean, I was thinking when I asked the question, I was thinking it was like 2 or 3 miles, which is still way out there.
Yeah.
But we're talking 12 or 14 miles.
And it's not just 12 or 14 miles straight out. He was also about 13 miles north of the St. Augustine Inlet.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Where he got pulled out. So that's a big area when you break that down. So
But you guys had a pretty good idea which way the drift would be, right?
We did.
Yeah. So that's, thank goodness.
He was right within our simulated drift and our assigned search for the C-130. So it really validated for us that our systems in this case were working, and we had really good confidence in the products that we were seeing that were informing some of that offshore search effort. Fortunately, he was still west of the Gulf Stream, but heading that way. And once you get in the Gulf Stream, you're going north 2 to 3 knots. And like I said, search areas don't get smaller over time. And,
it's like what happened with those two. Remember about a year and a half ago, those 2 kids down in Jupiter Island or Inlet, and it was 70 miles off of the coast, like incredible, and you could never find them. So this could have been such a tragic story, but amazing job, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, this is really, really incredible. And I just can't stress enough. And I mean, you guys know better than anybody, out in the middle of the ocean when you're on a helicopter. I mean, even just seeing this little blip out there in the water, it's got to be it's just got to be almost impossible. I mean, it's just got to be almost impossible.
It really is. The footage that you see on TV from the C-130, the camera, as it pans out, you really get a sense for just how hard it is to find things on the water. So what I would say, in this case, Charlie had a bad day. He lost all of what safety equipment he did overboard, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, I think this is a good reminder to everybody out on the water that sometimes bad and unpredictable things happen. And so the easier you can make it on yourself to alert emergency services that you're in trouble, the better, and the easier you can make it to signal to us when we're out searching for you. whether that's a visual distress signal, some sort of personal locator beacon, those sorts of safety equipment. They're there for a reason.
And we're seeing fishermen with like bracelets now. They give out a signal and things like that. I mean, that kind of technology is kind of being introduced.
There's a lot of tech out there for sure in the public safety, boating safety realm, and would really encourage folks taking to the water to do what they can to just again make it easy to communicate distress to us, to the locals, and when we're out searching for you, easy to get our attention, because it is really difficult, especially in an offshore environment, to find somebody out there.
Yeah, and I think adding to that, having some sort of float plan, to where you just leave a note or text a friend, or hey, it's midnight, I'm going to go fishing in this area, or this is where I'm going to be. I plan to be back at X time frame. So that gives us at least a general idea of where to start. So.
Even like a post on social media might not even be a terrible thing,
Sure.
right? Just something to let somebody know where you're going, what area you're going to be in. Gentlemen, thank you guys so much, not only for joining us here in studio, but for all your efforts in saving this young man.
Great job.
For all your efforts that you do each and every day, for helping folks in our area. And this is just amazing. I got to give a huge shout out to you guys. Please let us know any other agencies we need to shout out here, because it's obviously not just you guys. There were teams and teams of people that made this happen.
Yeah, and that's really, I think, why it happened, because if you take any of those agencies out, then Coast Guard has to come back and duplicate those efforts closer to shore instead of being offshore. So it's definitely kind of like that football game analogy, where the running back doesn't get the ball or the touchdown every time. Sometimes he's the running that.
Somebody's got to block.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and one thing I wanted to leave you with was what Charlie told me last night. He said, just share with everybody that no matter how bad things get, never lose your faith in God, and it'll pull you through. So. It's
pretty amazing.
That's very powerful.
Very
Absolutely.
cool.
Charlie, God's telling you to get a bigger boat.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
God bless that family.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you guys again so much. Thank you to your crews, and thank you to everybody involved in this rescue mission. Just unbelievably amazing because of you guys' hard work.
Great privilege to do it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ed.